G'day, Trooper Cody and Steve, one of our light horse videos, and this one's going to be about entertainment. So back 1418, what did the guys do for entertainment? There was no television, no YouTube, no mobile phones, no Wi-Fi, no multi-screened, multi-speakered, fancy, high-tech picture theatres. What did they do for entertainment? Most popular form of entertainment, without doubt, in that era were dances. We're going to talk about dances in another video where I'll show you the steps of a dance that they used to do in the 1418. Let's talk no more on that, because what we're going to move on to then is if there's other popular things the blokes would do, especially if there were no women around. They would like to sit around and listen to somebody who was good with a musical instrument. Clearly, when you're off on horses, that would be a harmonica, if you could play that well, that would be extremely popular. Blokes who could sing, people really enjoyed singing back then, not like today. We're all a bit shy about singing in front of other people. You know, families would gather around the family piano and have a sing-song at night. It was just an accepted family practice. Nobody could play the piano, they bought a pianola, so that you just moved the pedals and it played by itself with a roll of paper with holes in it. The other thing that was popular then, though, that is virtually non-existent today, apart from a small amount at the folk festivals, was reciting poetry. And that's because it's great to sing and it was great to play a musical instrument, but if you could recite a really good poem that invoked pictures in people's heads of where they lived, what they'd seen, then that was really popular if you could do it well. How popular was poetry back in this era? Popular enough that when new good poems were released, the newspapers published them. Can you imagine today you turn to page 3 of your local newspaper and there's somebody's poem been printed? So poetry was really popular. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to recite a poem, give it a go. That would have been a very popular one with the light horse blokes in 1418. It was written about 2 decades or so before the First World War, so it's quite well known. And of course, it was by, dare I say it, Australia's greatest poet. People will argue, but Banjo Patterson. I mean, his stuff is just brilliant. So I'm going to do a banjo one, just as some bloke might have stood up in a light horse camp and recited it, and we'll see how we go. And clearly, if you heard that, that's Bill calling out he wants to be in the video too. I had written him a letter, which I had, for want of better knowledge, sent to where I met him, down the Lachlan, years ago. He was shearing when I knew him, so I sent the letter to him, just on spec, addressed as follows: Clancy of the Overflow. And a message came directed in a writing unexpected, and it seemed as if the same was written in a thumbnail dipped in tar. Was a shearing mate who wrote it, and verbatim I will quote it: Clancy's gone to Queensland driving, and we know not where we are. In my wildly erratic fancy, visions come to me of Clancy, gone a droving down the Cooper, where the western drovers go. As the stock is slowly stringing, Clancy rides behind them singing, because a drover's life has pleasures the townsfolk never know. And the bush has friends to meet him, and their kindly voices greet him like the murmur of the breezes and the river on its bars. And he sees the vision splendid of the sunlit plains extended, and at night the glorious wonder of the never-ending stars. As I sit in my dingy little office, a stingy ray of sunlight struggles feebly down between the houses tall, and the fetid air and gritty of the dusty, dirty city, through an open window floating, spreads its foulness over all. And in place of lowing cattle, I can hear the fiendish rattle of the tramways and the buses making hurry down the street. And the voices uninviting of the gutter children fighting comes fitfully and faintly through the ceaseless tramp of feet. And the hurrying people daunt me, and their pallid faces haunt me, as they shoulder one another in their rush and nervous haste, with their beady eyes and greedy, their stunted forms and weedy. The townsfolk have no time to grow, they have no time to waste. And I somehow fancy I'd like to change with Clancy, like to take a turn at droving, where the seasons come and go, while he faced the round eternal of the cash book and the journal. But I doubt he'd suit the office. Clancy of the Overflow. I hope I did you justice, Banjo. I love that poem. Just brilliant. Cheers, cobbers.